Hey guys, Calendros here. So, this is our second, review, reaction, breakdown, whatever. Today, this one is actually the first time I've done one of these for the channel. Actually, interesting thing about that, I did do a video for a reaction. I actually did two reaction videos. One of them was the Witherfall one that you guys haven't seen yet, which got blocked. The second one was a reaction to As Icicles Fall from Nail of Ascaris, because somehow I had missed that song on the album and never listened to it. So that one I never uploaded. I forget why. I think the lighting was screwed up or something on the video. But yeah, so that was, and you can't redo, my camera's dancing around, what the heck. You can't redo a reaction. So that's the only problem is if you do a reaction and you have to reshoot the whole thing, is it really a reaction anymore? So, anyways, I may still do it at some other point later on because it's a great song as just a breakdown video, but sometime down the road. So today we're looking to do a reaction for a band a lot of people probably have never heard of. This song has 318 views on YouTube, and it's criminal. This band is freaking fantastic. So the band is Communic, 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 and the song is called Black Flag of Hate. This is, I believe, I don't think it's a concept album. I think it's the album. It might be a loose concept album, but there are several songs on this album that are interconnected. Looking through, so the album is called Where Echoes Gather, and there is The Pulse of the Earth, Part 1 and Part 2, Where Echoes Gather, Part 1 and Part 2, and The Claws of the Sea, Part 1 and Part 2. So there's three two-part songs on this album, and then in the middle, three standalone songs, Moon Dance, Where History Lives, and Black Flag of Hate. And I believe that these songs are probably all thematically connected, the whole album, because there's definitely a story to this song. It seems like it's got, because I brought the lyrics up ahead of time, and I mean, I didn't read them, but I just sort of glanced over them. It certainly seems like it probably has some sort of a story to it. But anyways, so we're going to go ahead and get into this this song. This one's about 7.5 minutes long, not the longest song from them. I'm expecting some heaviness, so this should be fun. Again, I haven't heard this song. I have my notepad ready to make some notes for anything that's interesting musically. And I'll read through the lyrics at the end. I don't know how much we'll be able to break down because, like I said, if it's a concept album, it's kind of tough to break down one part of a whole. So, all right, let's jump into this one. This is going to be a fun song. Let's see if I can copy the well, there's no point because it's just an album cover, which you guys will see on the thumbnail. So I'm not going to bother with that. I think I always worry that it increases the chances of the song getting blocked if I show any video content. So here we go.
now watching me, spreading diseases without break of religious hate. Schizophrenic they call me, but this is reality. Fake smile encounters act like cheating hoes.
Man. Wow. That is a really good song. Not what I was expecting though. It was very heavy, that I expected. But it had a very melodic chorus. The solo was very like Spartan. I mean, there wasn't much to it. It was a very melodic solo that fit perfectly well with the song. Not very technical at all. It was mainly the riffing that was technical, and there was a lot of the timing was weird. and the riff was constantly evolving throughout the song, which is something I always love about bands. And I would actually liken this as to something more akin to Tool than like Hibria or Seventh Wonder or something like that. This was much more riff and composition progressive, as opposed to like a lot of technicality. It was very, very interesting. So kind of going through my notes here, I don't have too many. It's tough on a first listen to really get a ton from a musical breakdown of a song, which I think is why when you look at reaction channels, very few reaction channels are doing musical breakdown reactions. They're usually listening to the song, getting an overall feel for the song, and then maybe doing some reaction to the lyrics, because it's tough. So here's what I got. Killer bass intro, which was very cool. Not like super difficult probably, but very cool bass line intro to the song with some sort of a pedal on there. I couldn't figure out what it was. Almost sounded like a little bit of like a phase or flanger, to kind of give it some interesting sound, and that kind of ties into the lyrics to the song too. So we'll talk about that at the end here when we talk about the lyrics. The one thing I did notice all throughout this song, the drumming was fantastic. This was like a drumming a cut above what, like, say the Hibria that I listened to earlier, which was very, very good drumming. But this was like very progressive but not flashy. Very technical, very precise. And it's difficult when you have so many changes to the tempo. None of these verses were the same. Not a single fucking one of them were the same. Every time the verse was changing up. The chorus stayed mostly the same. But it was a really interesting way to approach the song. Now, each verse, the music for the verse, each one of them was sort of a derivation of the or an iteration of the previous verse. We'll get to that. So, like, the first big change up was from that staccato riff. That was about a minute 45 into the song for verse 2, which was a change up from the first verse. Because the first verse you had that really had a very precise timing, and then they changed that up a lot on the second verse, and it was still a staccato version of it, but it was fairly different. And then at 2:20, there was this really great, awesome riff that I was really getting into. That was very similar to the breakdown riff in the middle of Raining Blood. When he gets like, your time slips away. That riff, it was very similar to that, like a lot, very, very similar. But it was a evolution of the staccato riff from the verse. So it was really an interesting thing. And then at 3:15 is a heavily slowed down version of the original verse, the staccato riff, but it's super sparse. There's almost no guitar in the verse at all. It's primarily bass driven. Not flashy bass work, and some keys. So a little bit of keyboard work. So like those two things combined make a very different take on the verse than the other stuff. And then at 4:18, the main riff, the staccato riff comes back, but adding in between the space more down pick chords. So it's like, so instead of, doon 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 doon, it's like doon 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 doon, So it's adding more. It's just another evolution of that riff. So again, they're really changing up. They're taking something that they established at the very beginning of the song, and this is prog in a nutshell, because this is really what Rush, Dream Theater, all these bands, that this is what they do. They'll take a section that's sort of the basis of the song, and then constantly evolve that original basis, and it's just different iterations on the same theme. But that is what prog is all about, and this song just does that, like all throughout the song. It's happening, and it really fattens up the sound when you take that same riff that's sort of sparse but still very heavy, and then add more down pick notes, because it just fattens up that, you get a little bit more into it though. At 4:58 there was a totally different riff. This was like a bridge riff. This was not a verse, and it was ultra heavy, very cool riff, and then this went into the transition into the solo, which was, there was a chorus, and then it went into the solo. It was a very melodic solo. Like I said, there was nothing flashy about it. It was very surprising. It was not, because those guys can definitely shred, but there was none of that on this song. Really, this was not a shreddy song. It was really just very heavy, more about the progressive elements in the rhythm section. So that's that one, and then brings me to the last note that I have, which was just I said at 7 minutes 7 goes ultra heavy. So there's like this really heavy, almost chaotic, because there's kind of a lot going on, but again it keeps with that same basic as an evolution of that staccato riff structure that sort of started out the song. It just adds just a ton on top of it, and just very heavy. The last 25 seconds of the song. So that's it for that. There's really not much else in terms of the musical breakdown. On a first listen, I couldn't get too much else out of it beyond that. Let me bring up the lyrics here, and we'll take a look and see, just to kind of go through it so you guys get an idea of the storyline. Like I said, there's not much to break down with this, because at least I don't think so. So, Black Flag of Hate. Breed, a new way of life. Clones from a fading world, engaged in war for the soil we walk. No cure as we wipe all clues from the spirit of all ancient gods. Still breaths, but the string is weak. If it bleeds, it can be killed. Solve this puzzle that once was complete. This could be a little bit of a this could be talking about just humanity in general, as opposed to being something story based about about how we were constantly seeking a new way of life, and then clones of a fading world. We're all humans, and a lot of people believe that this world is slowly, very slowly, dying. Engaged in war for the soil where we walk. So we're fighting each other over land. No cure as we wipe all clues. So I think really maybe saying that because we keep fighting each other and are focused on that, we're not focused on finding, say, the cure to cancer or ALS or anything else like that. From the spirit of all ancient gods, still breaths, but the string is weak. If it bleeds, it can be killed. I believe that this is talking about the earth. From the spirit of all ancient gods, because a lot of the ancient gods, especially if you're talking about like paganism, is about the earth. Still breath, but the string is weak. I think this is maybe talking about the thread that connects us to the earth. If it bleeds, it can be killed. again, us fighting each other, solve the puzzle that was once complete. At one point, I guess the idea here being is that one point, way, way, way back, we were together, and now we're slowly fracturing apart. I don't know if that's what that's again, and this could also be more of a concept type story. Diving deep into my mindware, which mindware sounds something like very William Gibson-esque, like neuromancer type stuff. Tempting to see the reality in here. Mass brain control by an unknown force, losing control, and to the hands of the unknown. This could be talking about the digital age. Diving deep into my mindware, basically tempting to see the reality in, digital communication, mass brain control by an unknown force. Well, when you look at all the accusations that were leveled against the most recent election in terms of, Russian bot control and stuff like that. So it's all talking. This could be sort of referring to that sort of thing, losing control into the hands of the unknown. So nobody, the internet is just this vast unknown space with thousands of people on it. So, and do we really have control over what's out there? In terms of our own, social footprint. Everywhere I turn, I see their shadows. Everywhere I turn, I see shadows. This could be talking, everywhere I turn, I see shadows. Again, this could be a digital thing, like, everywhere I turn, I see there's people everywhere in the internet, but they're just, because we're not actually face to face, they're just like a shadow. They're a digital image. They don't really mean anything to us. At least, and these are general statements, and I'm just saying this is one interpretation, because I don't know that that's necessarily what the song is saying, but I think it's just, I don't know, I feel like that this is something about, maybe that this isn't a concept view thing. This is maybe more of a general statement about our current human state. So, everywhere I turn, I see their shadows, waving it high, their black flag of hate. Everywhere I turn, I see their shadows, waving it high, the black flag of hate. Well, one of the biggest criticisms about social media, especially right now, is about how much hate there is in social media, and how it's really become a cesspool and a place where people can just basically snipe at each other all day long, And so everywhere you turn, you see these people that you don't know. They're just faceless shadows, but they're just spewing hate everywhere. So maybe that's what this is talking about. I don't know. And then again, everywhere I turn, I see their shadows. Everywhere I turn, I see shadows. Tracking all movements, I know they are watching me. Spreading diseases. I think this is spreading diseases with the plague of religious hate. Interesting. Tracking all movements. Yeah, this sounds. I don't think this is concept unrelated at all. I think this is actually like real life stuff. Tracking all movements. So like our online footprint. Especially now with you giving email address information and stuff. It's really easy for you to be tracked everywhere you go, through your cell phone, through social media, whatever. Tracking all movements. I know they are watching me. Spreading diseases with their plague of religious hate. So now this almost sounds like it's more of a condemnation of right-wing religious extremism, perhaps. But this line is interesting, because schizophrenic they call me, but this is reality. Fake smile encounters acts like a cheating hoax. Wow. That's a brilliant line. I think what they're saying, I think what this is saying is that, this part was a little confused. Schizophrenic, they call me. Um, I'm not quite sure about that line, what that's supposed to mean, because typically, if you're religious, people call you schizophrenic because hearing voices and stuff. Unless unless he's saying that, um, and I don't know their religious background. These guys, if they are paganists, I don't know what the name is for people who are, practicing pagans, um, but I could definitely see religious people, for example, people who worship Thor, or believe that the Old Norse gods speak to them. I could definitely see somebody, and this is hugely ironic, somebody who is like, say, an evangelical Christian or like a Catholic, saying that they're schizophrenic because they're hearing voices, which is incredibly ironic when you look at it, considering. Um, but this is reality, and I think this line I think is shifting to going back to talking about the online age. This is our digital reality. Fake smile encounters. Acts like a cheating hoax. That is I think, a total takedown of social media in general, because, he's saying that people are just, smiling and talking over social media, but it's all fake because nobody actually is really getting to know each other, which is not true, but I think is true for a lot of cases, but it's just not always the case. I like a lot of the people that I know online are people I've known for decades, in some cases, and are people who I consider friends. Some of them I've spoken to, on the phone or whatever. I don't never really met any of them in person, I don't think. But I get what he's saying here, though, because so much of social media is so fake and just, people just throwing platitudes, or just or on the whole other side of things, invective, at people that they don't know, or they think that they know. So, again, this line diving deep into my mind, where attempting to see the reality and hear mass brain control. Okay, so here we are back. This is actually the original. This is the first verse. Oh, okay. So this is why. So they brought that exact same riff from the beginning back, but with extra down picking. That's here, I'm pretty sure, because it says, "Breed a new way of life, clones from a fading world, engaged in war. For the soul we walk, no cures. We wipe all clues from spirit of the ancient gods. Still breast, but the string is weak. If it bleeds, good." This is the same. Everywhere I turn, I see their shadows. Everywhere I turn, I see their shadows. Their black flag of hate. Waving it high, their black flag of hate. The black flag of hate. So that's it. Really interesting how the last line of this, the last original line of this, was fake smile encounters act like cheating hoaxes. It's an interesting. It's for one thing, it's a fantastic line, but it's interesting that was the final line of this song, the final original line of this song. The rest was all repeated from earlier. Really interesting stuff. And I did want to talk briefly. Like I said, the whole band is fantastic here. The rhythm section of this band is fantastic. The vocalist is really unique. I feel like he reminds me a lot of Joseph Michael from Witherfall. He has a very unique character to his voice. And again, and as I mentioned in the Witherfall videos, his voice in turn is somewhat reminiscent of Worrell Dane's voice. So, and this band reminds me a lot of Nevermore in other ways too, and not just in that it's their rhythm section, their approach to doing ultra heavy music, but it's not like death metal. you know, and I get kind of that same vibe from these guys. Really, really interesting band. I highly recommend. This song is fantastic. Not as technical as one might think. This is just a really solid song the whole way through. It doesn't get boring. It's 7 minutes. It feels like it's 4. This is just, yeah, highly recommended. This is, I would give this one a 9 out of 10. It's not their absolute best song, but it's a very, very good song. So I think that's going to be it for this review. There's not much else to say, really. I haven't really thought about what else I might be doing this week. I have another day off on Wednesday. I'll probably record one video then. Or tomorrow night I might even record a video. So there will definitely be a couple more videos this week. I haven't really thought about what other songs I might want to do this week. There's a couple of other bands that I love that I think Seventh Wonder is probably one I'm going to try and definitely hit. I would love to do a breakdown of Break the Silence, so maybe that is one to look for this week. So keep an eye out. Stay metal. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.